This, my friends, this is the problem with giving to the government control of all the things that you need in order to defend yourself.
We didn't give it to them.
And I'll tell you, when you start listening to some of these folks who are now all active in the Congress on behalf of what I call the Obama faction, they are all active and they are wanting to protect us. And you know what they want to protect us from, y'all? They want us to protect us from those nasty bad guns that have been going around America killing people.
Yeah.
You know the guns I'm talking about. Those nasty bad guns that walk into churches and walk into convenience stores and walk into other places and they just fire off the rounds and kill folks, and you got to apprehend those nasty guns. You've got to get those guns and you've got to keep those guns out of everybody's hands, and then the killing will stop. The great problem is, as I used to point out to people, you can go down through the records of history, even in times that are not that far back. Look at Rwanda and places like this. And what happens with human beings is, if you've got human beings who are determined upon murder and mayhem, you can take away their guns and they'll pick up their machetes, they'll pick up whatever they have handy, and they'll still do the dirty deeds. Best way in the world to understand this issue is to be simple and clear. Okay? It is not that we should give up our guns so they can protect us. Is that we should understand that the danger from the weapon comes from the heart, and it comes from the mind. It comes from the lack of conscience of those who are governing the use of that instrument. Yeah. And if you neglect those things, you will never be safe.
Yeah.
Is it a coincidence then? Hold on a minute. See, I start with this issue today because I ask myself, is it a coincidence you think that in the very same era where we have so many people who are telling us that in order for the society to be safe, people must give up the constitutional right that is guaranteed in the Second Amendment, and then we're going to be safe? Do you think it's a coincidence that these very same people are then promoting in our schools and our educational system an approach that neglects character formation, that neglects instruction in conscience, that actually promotes licentious ideas, that suggests that there is no basis for right and wrong? It seems to me it's time we began to recognize that whether you're talking about our economic crisis, our moral crisis, our social crisis, our crisis of security on the streets, none of these crises is an accident. None of these crises is without purpose. None of these crises is without intention.
Yeah.
In the same way that having set us up through a system of education that no longer instructs in moral constraint, moral restraint, moral conscience, and moral decency, they set us up for the orgy of crime and violence that they then claim they will protect us from by disarming our people. In the very same way that they have moved there, they now move through an economic crisis fomented by the very regulators who now are telling us they shall save us from the consequences of their lack of integrity. I think it's pretty clear. Come on. Even if we were in a kind of regular situation, which we're not, we have an experience, and as a result of that experience, people you trusted, right? You entrusted a little bit of power to them. They said they were going to do good things with this, and then the end result is that through their laxity and their lack of integrity and with their malice aforethought, they get you into the very crisis that they said they would avoid, right? They were going to impose standards on the banks and lending practices. This has been going on since the Federal Reserve System began in the first place. This is what it was supposed to be all about. I find it ironic that after a century almost now, in which this great savior of the United States from economic instability and the lack of integrity and so forth and so on has been in operation, we are now in the midst again of an economic crisis that they claim is the worst since the Great Depression. And that depression didn't occur until they came along to save us with these institutions. And the mantra is the same. The remedy is the same. The mantra is the same. We're supposed to believe again that the problem isn't with them. It's with the fact that they don't yet have enough power. They don't yet have enough control. They don't yet have enough ability to determine and control our income and our corporations and our livelihood and our fate. We must turn it all over to them now. and then we will be secure.
No.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think that we'll be secure, all right. We'll be secure the way crooks are secure when you put them in the pen. We'll be secure, all right. They will have secured the people of the United States. And in the midst of all that security, all we'll have to contemplate is our bars and our subjection, because there will be no freedom left. Are we waking up to this yet? I hope that these gatherings around the country that are taking place are clear evidence that people are waking up, that they are beginning to realize and understand that no power you hand off to others unchecked and without supervision from yourselves is going to be used in any way that benefits your life, your liberty, or your survival. It hasn't happened before, and it's not going to happen now. The one thing I think that was most salutary about the minds that the founding generation of this country brought to the business of contemplating government and the structures of government was a simple truth that seems to be taught through all the record of human history. That if you hand people power that is not checked, that is not limited, that is not constrained, they will abuse that power in order to enslave.
Yeah.
Now, what makes us think it's going to be different now? I was reminded of it the other day when the man that this Newsweek guy thinks is God. I actually don't think so. Isn't that strange? It could perhaps be that I have met God, and his name is Jesus Christ, and I don't mistake anybody else for God. So I think that, see, that's the sort of thing. You realize that there are some places in the country having Tea Party events and they didn't want me because I say things like that. It's so nice to be here in Boiling Springs where I can say things like that. It's so nice. I think, between you and me, we are finally going to be secure again in our Constitution and our liberty when it is clear throughout the land that wherever you go and whatever you do when you are addressing the public policies of America, you are free to talk about our God, for He is the foundation of our liberty. But that's all right. I'm incorrigible. I will not be corrected in this. Okay? And I will not be corrected in it, if I may take an aside for a minute. I won't be corrected in it. I will bring God up every time and every day and in every awesome way when I am dealing with political issues. And you know what is my warrant for this? What is my warrant for this is the fact that on the bedrock foundation of the United States, printed in bold letters they meant us to review every 4th of July, is the truth that our rights come from the Creator God, and we should not be ashamed of it.